Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we're going to be continuing Neon Genesis Evangelion, the Spider's Thesis. What if Shinji Ikari was Spider-Man? As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. So, without further ado, I can say we are in the second half of the Spider's Thesis story. We're 6 parts in, and we've only got 6 more to go. And if you think you know where this story is going, I can guarantee you ain't seen nothing yet. Either way, the action, it's about to get ramped up, and so is the intensity. As Shinji and friends continue in their battle against the angels, more dark truths will be uncovered as the project of human instrumentality, as well as the many secrets that Nerve have kept hidden away, start to come to light. Before you know it, Shinji will now find himself on the opposite side of the law, now being hunted down by those whom he once considered his allies. Will Shinji have what it takes to overcome the many dark forces that gather around him as they all attempt to converge humanity for its final judgment? For all this and more, stay tuned as we now continue the story. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Shinji found himself floating in the darkness. How long had he been here? How many hours had passed by? He had been stuck inside of Eva Unit 1 that had been swallowed by the Angel, a being known only as Lilil, the 12th Angel, classified the Jaws of God, although its code name given to it was the Spot, an apropos name given their opponent. To go back, it all started earlier that day. It was at the Tokyo Super Collider where a scientist, a man, Dr. Jonathan Owen, had accidentally fallen in. In the chaos of the explosion of the collider, it seemed to have awakened the angel in the process. The man became a being entirely of white, adorned with a series of spots all across himself. Of course, Shinji and his team were deployed to battle against the foe, the man seemingly being driven to madness. He would only yell incoherently, stating that it was all her fault. She betrayed them. More specifically, yelling at Shinji and his team that they were the product of a traitor, the children of the Queen of Treachery, the woman who betrayed her brothers and sisters. Of course, Shinji and the others weren't fully in understanding of what was going on, and the fight went about as well as you could think. Trying to punch the being only to find yourself punching yourself in the face, well, it was definitely a lot easier said than done. And it didn't help matters when the spot-like being started to pusk and grow into what appeared to be a giant orb hovering in the sky. The Eva units would be deployed, as per usual, Penny standing back on reserve as she was the only one without an Evangelion yet. The operation was simple enough. All they had to do was blast the damn orb and destroy it. However, that was the trick. The orb that was floating above the city was nothing but the reflection. It was the shadowy spot on the ground that was the real angel, and Shinji found himself being swallowed by it. Of course, for Misato, her day had only gone from bad to worse. Yet another incident where Captain Ikari was not here. And to make matters worse, after what she had seen, after what she had learned from Kaji, she found herself not trusting anything Nerf said. For one, the Marduk Institute, from which all of their information were gathered, was running a lot slower than normal. For Ritsuko, she seemed almost more cold and calculated than she normally was, talking about potentially killing Shinji in attempts to destroy the angel. Masato wondered just what Nerve was truly up to. What was all of this? As for the others, they were worried for Shinji and his safety. Rei, Asuka, and Penny. The three girls were, safe to say, not in a good mood. Of all things, the fact that Rei found herself feeling these strong emotions was a shock even to her. But still, she didn't want any harm to come to Shinji. Asuka was mad at her own self. If she hadn't been so foolish and let him go in alone, she could have reached him. And then there was Penny. She didn't have an Evangelion, so ultimately there wasn't anything she could do. And what was worse, all of these grown-ups and adults, most of them anyway, all they seemed to be focused on was killing the angel, not paying any mind to the pilot that was stuck in it. The way they talked about life, as if it was just something that could be thrown away so easily. Was that really what they thought of them? Of course, they knew the answer. It's easy to say you don't care about things like this until it's right in your face. They all knew why they were there. They were expendable. They were pilots. They were simply used to fight the angels. If they died, more would be found later. If anything, living as an Eva pilot was almost as if it were the ultimate act of defiance. I mean, think about it. When you're in a profession that almost always boasts about how replaceable you are, there's almost a sweet satisfaction of being the last one standing. When you go into a situation where you're almost always expected to die or never come out the same, and yet you manage to keep beating the odds. It's almost as if you're giving fate the middle finger, as if you're telling the cosmic universe that you don't care for what it's decided for you, that you'll make your own path in life. This is the sentiment that most Eva pilots shared amongst themselves, why they chose to fight, and why they never gave in so easily. Because if they did, they would be succumbing to fate. A canon event, if you will. Something that was unavoidable. The death of an Eva pilot. It's as if it were expected, almost predicted. And yet, when it never comes to pass, you prove fate wrong. As Shinji was inside of the belly of the angel, he began to see visions. Monstrosities, creatures from Lovecraftian horror. They raged and fought against one another. And standing amongst them all was a figure, a woman of beauty, if you will. She had 8 wings, 4 on each side. She was referred to only as Garia. It seemed as though the fighting was against her, as if all the forces gathered together were attempting to stop her. They appeared as though they were going to be colliding with the earth, but Garia shielded it. Garia, the angel of the spider, the mother of the web, the one whom had protected humanity. Why do you fear, Ikari? Fear? Shinji would ask. What do you mean? You fear loss, being forgotten, your purpose, all of these things you think of. Do you wish for it to end here? Of course I don't. then you must fight. You must fight, Ikari. I've been fighting. I've been fighting. You must fight, Ikari. Why are you asking me that? Of course I'm fighting. Haven't you seen me? I've been fighting this whole time. I've been fighting against everything. Everyone. I keep fighting. All I do. But is it enough? That is not for one to decide. Whether you fight for something, if it is right or if it is wrong. What matters only is that you believe in it and that you see it through. Death is not where you are defeated. You are defeated when you choose not to believe. If you cannot stand by your own convictions, then what are you really? My own convictions. Shinji would then think to himself. He thought about all those times that he were asked, why did he pilot the Evas? Why was he the Spider-Man? Why had he chosen this road? He didn't have to do it. He never had to do it. That was something that was constantly reminded to him. Did Shinji really even know why he wanted to do it? He said he wasn't a hero. He was just doing what anyone would do. But was that the truth? Was that the real truth? Why do I pilot? Why do I fight? The question of why. Why? Just why? Why do you pilot? Why do you fight? 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 Why, Shinji Ikari, do you pilot the Evangelion? And why do you fight against the angels? Why do you pilot the Eva, Shinji Ikari? Why do you fight against the angels? Why do you pilot Shinji Ikari? Why do you fight against the angels? I want to live! I want to live! I don't want to die! I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want it to end like this. I want to live. I want to see tomorrow. I want to protect everyone. That's what I want. The only way I can live is if I fight. I have to fight to live. I have the power to. If I don't fight, I'm going to die. That's the only option. There is no other way. Everyone else, the people of this world, they don't have that option. Death. Death is all they have. I am the source of life. I am the reason. If I don't fight, they die. No, I die. I don't want to die. I want to live. Say it again. I want to live. Say it again. I want to live. Then do it. Everyone would watch as the circular orb in the sky would begin to rip and tear apart from within. Spurts of blood would rain upon Tokyo 3, a crimson sky, as if the very heavens themselves had been wounded. And from out of the belly of the beast stood Eva Unit 1, the feral and ferocious creature. Many were left in awe. Others even discuss just what were the Evangelion, Misato would think. They were more than just proto-angels, But what's more, what was their purpose? What would happen to the Evangelions once all the angels were killed? There is an old saying, if you murder a murderer, then there is still one murderer left in the world. If you use an angel to kill the angels, once you have killed all of the angels, there will still be one angel that remains. Of course, for many at Nerve, they were aware of this. There were a lot more darker secrets to the Evangelion. As Ritsuko would debrief Gendo Ikari, she would lament, if the children ever knew, if the world ever knew the truth, they could never be forgiven. But for Gendo Ikari, he remained firm in his belief. Things like forgiveness, those ideals, he abandoned them a long time ago. Quite frankly, whether the world would forgive him or not, he didn't care. There was only one thing that mattered to him now, and that was seeing this through. Not too long after, Shinji would recover, life would go on, and people at Nerve were on their heels, as it were, because soon the arrival of Eva Unit 3 and Eva Unit 4 would be upon them. Of course, for Penny, she was excited. She was designated as the fourth child, but she would be piloting Eva Unit 4. As for the pilot of Eva Unit 3, which would be the fifth child, that was still to be determined. But still, Penny was happy nonetheless. She was finally going to get her Evangelion. It took America long enough, but hey, better late than never, she supposed. All the same, while everyone else was excited, there was still something off, something in the air. It wasn't quite sure of how to describe it. As Shinji sat on the top of the school roof, the best way he could describe this feeling was a calm before the storm. As if everything that happened up until now had led to this moment. This moment in time. A moment in time that they can't go back from. Looking at everything he had been through and everything he had done, if he could have done things differently, would he? Should he? It was hard to say. Of course, though, Shinji wasn't the only one going through this. There was also Toji Suzuhara. He hadn't quite been himself. It looked like he had a lot on his mind, as if he were contemplating something. Safe to say, a level of secrecy was permeating the air also, as if everyone was in the know on something, as if there was some taboo that just couldn't be spoken about. Of course, Shinji simply chose to ignore it. He continued on doing what he always did. He continued being Spider-Man, swinging through the city of Tokyo 3, helping those in need, stopping any crime where he could, simply doing what he could do. From time to time, Asuka would join him. Even Rei and Penny would tag along. Their reputation was really starting to perceive them, the people looking to their guardians, the spiders in the sky, as it were. Of course, in the end, nothing beat a private patrol, just doing something on your own. There was word of a car crash on a bridge not too far away. Shinji was going to take care of it, but there was something there to his surprise. A being clad in black and silver. Upon closer inspection, Shinji could see that it looked like another Spider-Man? A Spider-Man in a black suit with silver-like armor all around him. His strength was definitely formidable, the fact that he was able to hold up multiple cars from falling off the edge. Shinji went to help him immediately, but he left just as quickly as Shinji had approached. Shinji tried to follow him for a good number of blocks, trying to catch up to the new Spider-Man, but before he could catch him, he was gone. That was strange. Shinji would tell the others about what had happened. They found it a little hard to believe. Another Spider-Man, and they hadn't been informed about it? Well, that would bring the total up to 5, Penny would say. But I haven't heard anything about a new Spider-Man. The kids tried asking around, but no one would confirm anything. They hadn't heard anything about a new Spider-Man, and they couldn't find any records or anything in the data to show what was actually happening. So either Shinji saw something he didn't see, or maybe there was a rogue spider. Wait, Asuka would say. You don't think someone actually stole tech from Nerve, do you? We haven't had reports of any break-ins, Ray would say. Then maybe the thief was just really good, Wonder Girl. Did you ever think of that? I mean, the mark of a true criminal is not being able to get caught. Yeah, but still, Nerve is a well-fortified base, Shinji would say. Even if someone was able to sneak in here, if someone was able to get past even the best of security, getting in is one thing, but still, once he took whatever he was looking for, getting out could almost be next to impossible. I mean, this place has almost 24 levels of defense. Yeah, and just trying to get through half of it, most of the world doesn't have the tech to even compete with Nerve, Penny would say. I mean, if someone really was able to steal the spider tech that we do have, then either we have someone who's a mole on the inside, or we're dealing with a pretty damn good thief. The kids would all lament this, along with their own theories and suspicions, not knowing what to believe or what to suspect. There wasn't any more cause or worry about this new spider. They hadn't heard anything. Kensuke and Shinji would have their own thoughts about it. Kensuke wondering if it had anything to do with the new Evangelions that were coming anytime in the future. Of course, for now, all they had was speculation. Nothing concrete to really answer their theories or thoughts at the moment. Later on that day, Masato and Penny would be leaving, as they were going to be going through inspections for Penny to test her Evangelion. In the meantime, Asuka and Shinji would be left at home with Kaji, although Shinji being unable to sleep late into the night. It was then that Asuka would tell Shinji the truth of what was happening. To say that Shinji would be in an uproar would be an understatement. He and Asuka would immediately race to Nerve to try to get more answers, but yet they found themselves already being called there. They would board into their Evangelions, Shinji, Asuka, and Rei, as off in the distance they would stand guard as they saw Eva Unit 3 approaching. Shinji, now knowing the truth, would yell through the intercoms for Toji to answer. Gendo, not being pleased that his son was aware of the truth, knowing that this could complicate things. All the same, the only thing that mattered now was the defeat of Eva Unit 3, now classified as the 13th Angel. And in its hands, it carried the left arm of Eva Unit 4, which meant that Masato and the others were probably attacked at the base where they were testing the Evas in the first place. Shinji and the others would attempt to restrain Eva Unit 3, although Gendo wanted them to destroy it. Deciding that Shinji would not follow his directions, he used the dummy plug system, attempting to override Shinji's controls. With no choice, Shinji would exit out of Eva Unit 1 since he couldn't pilot it anymore. Using his communication gauntlet, he would alert Asuka to what was happening. Asuka would have no choice but to back up Shinji, as she would attempt to hold off Eva Unit 1 while Shinji would go to Eva Unit 3, crawling up the Eva as it continued to thrash and move around violently. Not too far behind, Eva Unit 4 would follow, Penny yelling and driving in pain. She had only used her Eva one time and already she was going through this hell. But still, with one arm, she attempted to assist in restraining Eva Unit 3, while Shinji went to the damaged entry plug, going to the emergency hatch and forcing it open. He would eventually pull Toji out, as the both of them would be sent flying high in the air, before eventually crashing into the forest down below. Shinji felt like he had broken a couple of ribs, and Toji felt he might have broke his leg. Shinji was just upset that his friend didn't tell him the truth, but Toji was trying to repay the favor of Shinji and Penny saving his sister's life. He was told that this was the best way to do it and to keep it secret from him. He apologized, but for Shinji it was alright, although now there was a deep-seated anger. The fact that his father tried to get him to kill his best friend. With now having Toji out, they would have an easier time shutting down Eva Unit 3. In one fell swoop, all of the girls would work together, snapping Eva Unit 3's neck, paralyzing it and causing it to fall to the ground. Finally, the shutdown code would be given, and the Evas would stop their rampage. All except Eva Unit 1. Eva Unit 1 continuing to thrash and move around, before finally the dummy plug would be ejected and it too would fall. The cleanup would be enormous. Masato, save for a broken arm, had not too many faint injuries. She was thankful to see Kaji there, and was thankful that none of the children had died at least. However, consequences would have to be doled out. The children would all be taken into custody immediately. Shinji knew likely what was going to happen, so he decided to cut it off at the pass. If they ask what happened, say I was responsible. Of course, Asuka was surprised by this. She wasn't going to agree. Regardless of her feelings towards Toji, she didn't want to kill him, and she didn't like that he was placed in this situation. Of course, none of them agreed, and they would have gladly stuck with Shinji, but Shinji looked at them seriously. I need to face my old man alone. I already know what's going to happen to me, and I accept that. But you guys don't have to get dragged down either. Please. They would all nod. Rei was surprised by this form of camaraderie. Shinji would be led into a room. It was large, and standing across from him was the desk where Gendo stood. Shinji was in handcuffs, especially made given his super strength. This is a court-martial, Shinji. You know why you're here. I do. I'm here because of my bastard of a father. Besides the point, you expressly went against my orders. You refused to listen, and does it really matter? What was that? You got what you wanted. Eva Unit 3 was destroyed. So why do you care? I care because we have rules. I don't need someone who just wants to break rank whenever the rules don't suit him. Well, maybe I don't give a damn about your rules. Is that so? I mind you, boy, to be careful of how you speak in my presence. Or what? Huh? You're gonna walk out on me like you did before? Oh, that's rich. The famed Gendo Ikari, who thinks he's the center of the damn universe and that everyone has to care about what he has to say. If you have a problem with me, then say it. You are a pretentious asshole. You think that everything and that everyone has to work to your whims, your way. You want to know what? I don't care. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you say. As far as I'm concerned, you stopped being my father the day you let my mother die. What was that? That's right. I remember it. That day in the lab, when she disappeared. It was because of you. But no, you couldn't accept your own failures, so you blamed your own son. You don't know a thing. I know perfectly. You killed my mother. So as far as I'm concerned, to the man-child who sits behind a desk and plays God when it's convenient, you can kiss my ass. You want to take it from me? Take Ava Unit 1? Go ahead. It was nothing but a curse anyway. That thing killed my mother, and I have to pilot it. I knew it made me sick. It made me sick to my stomach. But you probably get a sick kick out of it, don't you? You always have. I take it you're resigning? It's not like you need me anyway. So you know what? Yeah, I quit. Very well. Shinji would be kicked to the ground, forced to his knees, and held at gunpoint. A doctor would be called in with a syringe that had a blue liquid. It would be injected into Shinji's spine. Shinji would thrive on the ground, yelling in pain, as if his body was undergoing a metamorphosis of sorts. He could feel his enhanced strength fading. He could feel his muscles beginning to contract. He felt himself getting a bit more skinnier, almost like he was starting to become malnourished. His wrist gauntlet that allowed him to transform into Spider-Man would be taken from him. Effective immediately, I strip you of your rank. You are no longer employed by Nerve, and you are no longer the pilot of Ava Unit 1. And effective immediately, you are no longer Spider-Man. You will be stripped of all of your communications, as well as all of your privileges. You will now be classified as nothing more but a civilian. You will not be allowed back in this facility ever again, nor will you be allowed to be privy to Nerve affairs or of any of our inquiries. Effective immediately, this is the last time you and I will ever see each other. Get him out of here. With that, Shinji would be taken. He was kicked out of Nerve. Masato and the others wanted to protest this, but Shinji, he thought it was okay. Penny, she broke down and cried. Toji was angry also. As for Asuka, she didn't want it to be this way. Shinji packed his bag. He didn't have much, and he was ready to leave. He wasn't sure of where he was going to go or what he was going to do. The others didn't want him to go. He could stay in Tokyo, but no. This was what he needed to do. He was tired of his father, tired of Nerve, and he was ready for it to end. He did decide, though, that there was one thing he was going to do. "Where are you going?" Asuka would ask. "Well, since you talk about it so much, I was thinking about going to Germany." "What?" Asuka, Shinji would pull Asuka close to him. I really, when this is over, you want to go back to Germany, don't you? Yes. Well, the way I see it, wherever you're going to be, that's where I want to be. So use me as motivation to get back there. I'll make sure I have a nice German breakfast waiting for you. The two would share a kiss as Shinji boarded his plane and they prepared to leave. Shinji would rest in his chair, although to his surprise, there was no one else that was on the flight with him. Maybe no one wanted to go to Germany that day except for him. I mean, he had been saving up some money, so he figured this was the least he could do. After about an hour or two of flying, there would be some turbulence. Shinji would slowly awake in his chair, wondering what was happening. In a half-dazed state, he would rub his eyes as he went to open the side window. He opened it just in time to see a missile coming right towards him. At 1300 hours, a plane flying out of Tokyo 3, Japan, heading to Germany, was attacked by an unknown aircraft. There were no survivors. This concludes Neon Genesis Evangelion The Spire's Thesis. What if Shinji Ikari was Spider-Man Part 7? Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Jujutsu Kaisen The Spire's Curse. What if Miles Morales was Sukuna's vessel? Season 1 Part 7. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.